there, I'm Kim from sunny Arizona.
And I'm Kara from vibrant Atlanta, Georgia. Welcome to our channel, the Kara and Kim Live Podcast.
We're both seasoned realtors with a passion for all things real estate. From market trends to insider tips, we're here to guide you through the journey of buying and selling homes.
But that's not all. We'll also take you on a journey getting to know various small business owners.
Whether you're a first-time home buyer, need more space for your growing family, or just curious about the market in Phoenix, Arizona,
or a seasoned investor, or you're looking for insights about the Metro Atlanta area, we've got you covered.
Our podcast is designed to be informative, engaging, and a bit fun too.
We love interacting with our listeners, so don't hesitate to reach out with your questions or topics that you'd like us to explore.
Subscribe to our channel and join us on this exciting journey. New episodes will be coming your way regularly, filled with fresh content and expert advice.
So hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and let's do a deep dive into the world of real estate together. Welcome to the Kara and Kim Podcast.
Hey, Kara, how are you today?
I'm doing fantastic, Kim. Thank you so much for asking. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks. Today, we are going to talk about comparative market analysis for buyers and sellers. Let's start with the basics. What does a comparative market analysis entail, and why is it a cornerstone for real estate transactions?
Okay, this is where I feel like I nerd out a little bit. I love CMAs, or the comparative market analysis, right? So it is a vital tool in real estate. It helps us, professionals in the industry, as well as buyers and sellers, to determine the current market value of a property by analyzing comparable properties, also known as comps, right? So these properties are in the same area that have recently sold, properties that are also on the market or were listed but did not sell. So the goal is to assess the property's value based on the value of similar sales in the vicinity. So you don't want to compare a house here in Atlanta to one in Phoenix. That doesn't help.
Right.
But if you're looking at homes within a subdivision, that's a little bit more instructive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's even a little harder to compare city to city. So you wouldn't necessarily go Far East Mesa and compare that to something in downtown Phoenix. They're different demographics, different dynamics altogether. So for our listeners, let's delve into what the CMA process involves. First, we identify properties similar to the subject property in terms of size, features, locations, like we already talked about, and other relevant characteristics.
That's exactly right. So the next step that we'll look at is we will gather data on recently sold properties, considering factors like the sale price, the days on the market before it went under contract, and any unique features that influence the sale. So let's say a home has a pool. That could be a unique feature to the other one. So that can, impact the comparative market analysis of the subject property, meaning the property that we are looking at to buy or sell.
So why is a CMA a cornerstone of real estate transactions? What's the key point of it? I know we've kind of touched on what it's looking for, but why is it so important?
Well, CMA, it's crucial to help determine accurate pricing. It helps inform decision-making. It helps us also develop a marketing strategy, and it provides a solid foundation for negotiations. It empowers both buyers and sellers with valuable insights throughout the real estate transaction process. I love using the comparable sales, the homes that are currently on the market and ones that did not sell when I'm negotiating for either a buyer or a seller. So I'm able to flip the same information depending on what side of the coin I'm representing at the time.
Absolutely. So speaking of timing on how far back you go for looking at comps, what do you typically look for as far as recently sold? 6 months, a year? What do you typically do?
So there's no real hard and fast rule, but generally speaking, I would say no more than 6 months. But there are certain factors that will increase that time or decrease it. So let's say we have a neighborhood, like one of my clients currently, homes don't come up very often there. So there's not as many opportunities to have comps. And this particular home has some unique features. So I was talking with someone about getting an off-market offer, and I was explaining to them why they need to go back up to a year because it's a very desirable neighborhood, but because the homes aren't on the market as often, there's not as much data to pull from. And the homes in that subdivision have continually increased in value over the last 50 years. Yes, I went that far back and looked. Again, I told you guys I love data. So I'm a little nerd about that. Now, there are other times where there's rapid turnover, and that doesn't mean it's a bad neighborhood. Maybe the people have aged out or they're moving on from their starter homes into something else. So we might restrict that to 3 months. It might be 1 month, depending on how many homes we have to compare. The more data you have, the more closer in time to the transaction I'm going to try and stick to, because market conditions fluctuate very rapidly.
I'll add to that too, as far as timing. I agree with all that you just said on timing. I'll also talk about location. Most times my initial search is going to be about a mile. To the point we talked about earlier, sometimes it's a subdivision that is the critical piece. So I'll specify that I'm looking only in this community. And then to your point of your current client, sometimes you have to go 5 miles, 6 miles. If you're on acreage property, they're all very unique and specific, but you can usually find something with a couple of acres nearby that would be somewhat comparable, but it might be 5 or 6 miles away. So location is also a key factor in the process of what you're looking for, and why using a professional can help narrow down that a little bit more, because if you're doing the online platforms, which can help and give you a general idea, but they're not going to do the extensive research that we do as professionals.
In fact, I had a client who was selling their home, and let's imagine, I'm going to use my Century 21 logo here. Let's imagine the C was the subject subdivision. So where the buyer was looking to purchase. So it had a weird shape, and in the middle of it was a gated community. Gated communities here in Georgia, all other things being equal, usually cost a little bit more. It's usually indicative of a higher level of services, amenities, and security. So that typically impacts the price up. So the person who tried to give me some comps was using the more expensive neighborhood to influence the price. And I said, not so fast. That's not the same. It's a different subdivision, different amenities. Try again.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep,
distance isn't the only thing.
Absolutely. So to this point, and to go a little bit deeper, how do we select comparables, and why are they so important for buyers and sellers when analyzing a CMA?
Yes. So selecting comparables or comps, it's a critical part of the CMA process. So we look at properties, like we said, similar neighborhood. We want to ensure that they have similar features like bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage that matters. And with the square footage, the below grade, meaning anything in the basement, that square footage doesn't count the same as the rest of the space. And we're also typically only talking about heated square footage. So imagine somewhere that you can sleep comfortably in the dead of winter. So that might not be the garage. That will not likely be a, unenclosed sunroof.
Absolutely.
And then they will also look at the condition of the home. So if you have a brand new construction house versus one that has extensive deferred maintenance, they're not exactly the same. That's not a good comparable property to use.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. When I'm comparing homes for my sellers, I'll typically say I can give you a range, but until I see the home and drive through the community and see what everything else looks like, and also go online and look at other homes that are in the market, I look through all the pictures, I read the descriptions, all of that plays a part into how I'm going to recommend to my seller on what they should list their house for. So it's pretty important to go into the kind of detail that we're talking about here, so you can get an actual reflection of current market conditions, condition of the home, condition of the neighborhood. All of that plays a part in what the CMA is going to include.
Absolutely. So for buyers, the comps help them establish a fair offer and provide negotiation leverage. So it gives a little bit more teeth to their argument, if you will, for why they want to say this is what we want to pay. So one example that's an easy one, you don't want to compare a brick home to a stucco house. Brick houses typically are, last a little bit longer, and so they typically command a higher price, all other things being considered equal. But sellers also benefit by a CMA by setting the right price. You want to create an effective marketing strategy and help manage expectations on what we can likely command on the open market. So comparables are a cornerstone for both buyers and sellers in making informed decisions in the real estate market.
Absolutely. So let's move to discussing how a CMA can help sellers set a competitive yet realistic listing price for their home.
Mm. So a CMA, I love them, right? It is also an invaluable tool for our sellers. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit of a nerd. I can't help it. Um, it provides market insight and helps in accurate valuation, and prevents overpricing. Because if you overprice, you're likely to deter buyers. You're going to spend more time on the market. And after a while, people start wondering, well, what's wrong with it? So by setting a competitive price based on actual data in the CMA, sellers can attract the right buyers and encourage faster sales and potentially receive multiple offers, which creates a bidding war, which I love when I'm representing the seller. The buyer, not so much.
Right, exactly. And speedier sales are crucial too, especially for sellers when time constraints. So if they're purchasing a home, then if they're purchasing their next home, it is important for them to sell their home in a certain amount of time so that they can stay under contract on their next home. A knowledgeable real estate agent interprets the CMA results, guiding sellers on the optimal listing price and striking the right balance between a favorable price and a timely sale.
Exactly. It is all about empowering your seller with information about the local real estate market to help make strategic decisions that enhance the likelihood of a successful and timely sale.
Absolutely. How can buyers use a CMA to make a strong, informed offer on a property?
Well, buyers can leverage a CMA in various ways, Kim. So it helps them understand property value, it helps develop a negotiation strategy, and set a competitive offer price. So I like to think of adding the CMA if I'm including in an offer as the because. So I'm saying I'm offering this amount because X, Y, and Z. So it gives a little bit more than I didn't just come up with this number out of thin air.
Yeah, absolutely.
It assists in recognizing unique features that may affect the property's value positively or negatively. So let's say I actually have a transaction now that has older cast iron plumbing rather. And so that is going to negatively impact the price. And so we're currently in negotiation to have that lowered because the new owner is going to have to replace that.
Absolutely. By presenting an offer backed by a well-researched CMA adds strength to the buyer's position so that you can use that as backup. It demonstrates to the seller that the buyer is serious, informed, and has done their homework. They know what they're talking about.
Absolutely, Kim. A CMA is a powerful tool for buyers. It provides information that they need to make strong, informed offer that aligns with the current market conditions and reflects the property's true value. Providing such an offer increases your likelihood that it'll be accepted.
In what ways, Kara, do the timing and current market trends affect the outcomes of a CMA?
Timing and market trends are critical considerations in a CMA. Right, the current state of the real estate market, a little crazy right now with these interest rates. Seasonal variations, that matters as well, especially if you're talking about neighborhood that typically is for families, has lots of children. So school sometimes impacts a family's decision to move. Economic factors, and then there are local trends. They all play roles in shaping the CMA outcomes. So where I'm from originally in New York, with the harsh winters, sometimes it slows down the market. It literally chills the market because people don't really want to be out moving about. So there are a lot of things that play a role into crafting a well thought out CMA.
Yes. Arizona, it's the summer. People don't really want to move in the summer. It's 120 degrees here in the summer. They don't want to do that. It's hot. They don't want to go look at houses and all of that. So I understand. And staying in tune to these factors ensures the CMA evaluation is accurate, competitive, and reflective of the dynamic nature of the real estate market. It's about providing clients with the most relevant and up-to-date information for making informed decisions.
Exactly. A well-timed comparative market analysis considers that the market will fluctuate, and it takes into account that there are trends that are in place. It's kind of one of those things, somewhat of a living document, at least in that moment in time. And it ensures that a buyer or a seller receives a comprehensive and accurate analysis that aligns with the ever-changing real estate landscape.
When writing up a CMA or creating a CMA, what are some of the adjustments and how do they align a home's features with its market value?
Adjustments in a CMA are very important. So they involve for accounting for differences between properties to help determine an accurate estimate of a home's market value. When you're comparing properties, it is rare to find two exactly alike, unless you're in a subdivision of cookie cutter homes and they were all built exactly the same. But even in that
And
case,
even then,
how well do they maintain the house, each individual homeowner? There are many things that we look into, but when you're comparing these properties, we use adjustments to help fine tune the assessment by considering variations in key features.
absolutely, Kara. Adjustments identify comparable properties, compare features, quantify differences, assign a dollar value to those differences, and reconcile to provide an adjusted market value. It's about aligning a home's unique features with its market value. Sometimes a buyer, like you were talking about, two exact replica homes in a community, somebody may have done some updates to it, remodeled their kitchen, added on to their house. There are so many things that they could have done, added a pool, so many things that changes their uniqueness of their home and changes the market value of their home compared to the cookie cutter house next to them.
100% agree. Adjustments ensure a fair and accurate valuation that considers the nuances of each property, and it contributes to a more realistic and defensible estimate because sometimes we actually have to defend the estimate that we've come up with.
Why is it crucial to work with a knowledgeable realtor when reviewing a CMA, and what insight can you provide that you might not find on your own?
So, if y'all haven't been able to tell, I haven't had the greatest experiences in my real estate journey prior to becoming a licensed professional. I had never received a CMA. My mom had never received a CMA, and she was doing this for 20 years before me. So, a knowledgeable real estate professional will bring invaluable insights to the table. They have local market knowledge and they're willing to share it. They have access to recent comparable sales data and they're willing to share it with you, and a deep understanding of market dynamics and they're willing to share it with you. So, this
The
goes
key point.
beyond. No, because honestly, I'm not saying that the people that I worked with in the past didn't have this information, but none of it was ever shared with me. So
Mhm.
it's one thing to know it, it's another thing to empower your clients to learn and do better. I never fear sharing information with my clients because I'm not easily replaced.
Well, I think that's a good point. We all have the ability to have the knowledge that we have, right? It's just, do you wish to educate people, or you just want to hold on to it to make yourself more valuable? And I think we have value in other ways than just hoarding the information.
Absolutely. I freely give them all the information and it helps explain to them why I'm advising in a certain way. So I think that also builds some trust. I'm not just coming up with these numbers out of nowhere. I'm not
Hmm.
saying, oh, you need to bid higher than asking just because I want a larger commission. And I know that's what some people think, but if you really look
Yeah.
at the difference in the two prices and then take up, what is it, 3% or 4, whatever you've negotiated, it's not that much.
Hmm.
So,
It's true.
what I ultimately try to advise my clients is I'm giving you a suggestion, and they have to agree on a price to one, get the house sold in a relatively short time with the most net proceeds to the seller, or make sure that we actually win the bid on this particular home.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely, Kara. They provide professionals, real estate professionals, provide
Mhm.
insights into property specific conditions, offer expertise in pricing strategy and negotiation, and ensure that they ensure that you, as the buyer or seller, navigate the legal and contractual aspects of real estate transactions successfully.
Working with a real estate professional is like having a trusted guide in the extremely complex world of real estate. So, a professional's expertise goes beyond just the numbers. That's why I have no problem sharing them with my clients or anybody who's considering hiring me.